We've got a question for you. Should each party in a relationship be respected, regardless of whether the other person feels that they deserve it or not? Should respect be given, or should it be earned? That's the big question. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Welcome. My name is Julius and Eniolu.
I'm Mary Eniolu.
And this is Relationship Real Talk, where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real. Should partners respect each other, regardless of whether they deserve it or not? Should respect be earned, or should it be given? That's the question.
That is the question, and that's a really important question. And I can understand where that question is coming from, because if my behavior does not warrant me being respected by you, if my behavior does not deserve respect, if it's not deserving of respect, then one has the right to ask the question, why should I respect you when you're acting in a manner that does not deserve respect? I think because human beings generally, we love to have a sense of justice. Generally, we like things being fair. So you hear even babies, even babies, young children, they say all the time, oh, it's not fair, it's not fair. So we all have this sense of justice, this sense of fairness. So I think that's the main place this question is coming from. So it's not fair that you should be expecting me to respect you when you're acting in a manner that does not deserve respect. Yeah. But the question that I would want to look at, taking a step back, would be, what would be the result? What would be the benefit if you're acting towards someone purely based on their current behavior? Where would that lead?
Right. That's going to only lead to problems. In my understanding, if you say somebody is respectful, it means they respect all people. Right? Regardless of the persona personified by the other person. It has become their own innate way of dealing with people.
Right.
And I think that's where we all want to be.
So it's not necessarily about the other person, it's about you.
It's about me.
Right.
As opposed to waiting for you to earn my respect, I give it to you.
Okay. What's the opposite of respect?
Disrespectful.
Yeah. So, what are some of those things that cause, or what are some of the ways in which we disrespect someone? So if I decide I'm not going to respect you, I might choose I'm not going to listen to you. I might choose to be rude to you. I might choose to ignore when you speak to me, right? So those are all ways that we could disrespect someone. So what would be the benefit if I choose to do that? Will that make the other person better?
No.
And now we're talking about a relationship between husband and wife.
Yeah.
So what sort of home are we going to be creating if I react or respond to you all the time based on your current behavior?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are acting the way they're acting because of various reasons. It could be upbringing, it could be what they're going through in that particular era or season of their life. And so if I have to always allow your actions to dictate my actions, don't we get caught up in sort of a vicious circle?
Yeah. I mean, it's a slippery slope, And to be honest with you, it says more about you than it does about the other person. It sounds good to the ear. I'm not respecting them because they don't deserve to be respected. But it says more about you than it says about the other person. It says that you are not respectful. And something that I've learned in my life on the planet is people live up to your expectation.
Absolutely.
They tend to. If you treat them respectfully, it's a matter of time. If you give it time, they will begin to live up to your expectation. But if you treat them disrespectfully, it's a matter of time. They will fall in line with your expectations.
Absolutely. And, we want to hear from you. So first off, I want to say, have you subscribed? If you haven't, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe so you can be notified when new episodes drop. But we also want to hear from you, because it can be a sensitive topic. Now, you might be sitting here and you're looking at us and thinking, yeah, it's easy for you to say you have no idea the kind of person I'm living with. And we don't want to trivialize whatever you may be going through. So if your situation is completely different and it's causing you to have a different viewpoint, we want to hear from you, because we want to keep it real. So please put your comments in the chat. But what you just mentioned about people living up to the expectation you place on them is really, really, really true. Because that person you're looking at and you're saying, I'm not going to respect you because of the way you're behaving. Is it possible that if you cast your mind back, you might find that they were not always like that?
Yeah.
Is it possible that maybe over time that is something they've become? And so you then have to ask yourself, what is it that's caused them to become like this?
Exactly.
Could it be the way that I have been, that they're responding to or they're reacting to? It's possible.
Or it could be something deeper. It could be something deeper in their core. It could be something, because we all have our stress points, and that's why you hear people say things like, don't go there. You're venturing into a dangerous place in my life, and I can't predict the beast that can come out, so don't go there. I remember watching a video. It's a bit long, but I paraphrased it in maybe in 1 minute. This guy was preaching in a bus, and a guy got up, screamed at him, shut up. The guy wouldn't shut up, and the other guy slapped him. And the other guy, he didn't get angry. Everybody was like, what's this other guy going to do? And the other guy carried on preaching and even offered this other chick to be slapped. He kept the other guy, the disrespectful guy kept on being disrespectful, and the respectful guy kept on being respectful. And guess what? The respectful guy won the battle.
In the end,
You're not mad with me? I just slapped you. Well, you're not a bad person. Maybe you're going through a bad state.
What actually happened, because I saw that video on social media as well, was the person who was being aggressive had just lost their grandmother.
Exactly.
And so in the end, the other gentleman was saying, I understand. It's because of the love and the passion that you have for your grandmother.
Coming from the place of
that's
love.
causing you. And he just couldn't understand why he would be so understanding. So instead of responding to people based on their current behavior, how about we leading with some curiosity and trying to find out why they are the way they are? We say, don't we? Hurt people.
Absolutely.
So it might be where they're coming from that's causing them to act the way they're acting. So showing a little bit of empathy, showing a little bit of compassion, showing a little bit of curiosity is a better way of responding in that sort of situation than you just responding purely based on their behavior. I always say people are not necessarily their behavior. The behavior is just a
symptom.
It's just showing their current level of awareness, where they are right now. And if you treat them based on where they are right now, you never unearth the gold that may be there. So we want to treat them based on their potential, not their current performance.
Absolutely. That's what being gracious, being understanding, and it's a lot easier said.
It is. It's difficult.
If you're really dealing with somebody that it gets to a point and you're like, man, what is it going to get? To get you to see things. Before it gets to that level, maybe go have a cup of tea.
I remember growing up. I tell this story quite often. Most of my sisters were believers. They gave their lives to Jesus from a very early age when they were still in secondary school, and I wasn't. And I was around people who always used to say, "Oh, Christians are hypocrites. They're pretenders and all of these things." And I will deliberately push their buttons. I will deliberately push their buttons just to get them to react and to respond to me in a negative way. But they wouldn't. They would keep their cool. They would continue being gracious to me. And so when I go to school when people are saying, "Oh, all Christians are hypocrites," I knew deep down, that was not true, because I was living with Christians in the house. If there's anybody you cannot pretend with, it's your family that you live with. So if they could take all that from me, I knew they were not being hypocrites. Another story I want to share. Recently went to the hospital. You know how you go to the hospital and you see all these notices: our staff deserve to be respected. We will not tolerate any abuse. Yeah. So you even see that in banks now, for goodness sake. But why do they put those notices there? Because it's not uncommon for people to come into the hospital and start to scream at the person at the desk, start to shout at the nurse because they've had to wait for so long and all of that. But you know, that day we had such a, I don't want to call it a great experience. You never have a great experience in the hospital, but everybody was kind to us. Everybody was good to us. The nurse were kind. The security guards went out of their way to look for chairs for us. Why? Because I admit I picked this up from you. That's rubbed off on me. I was very intentional in striking up a conversation with every single person that attended to us. With the receptionist, how you doing? Have you had a long night? When did you start today? With the nurse, the same thing. The next thing, she's helping us cut the queue. It was my mom we took in. The nurse that took my mom's blood took it first time, and I said to her, "My goodness, you're really good at your job, because it's a hard job getting blood from my mom." Because of that, she took us somewhere where we could. Do you see what I mean? So people go into the hospital and they're mean, they're horrible, they're shouting, they're screaming, and then they wonder why they get a bad experience. So we don't treat people based on where they are. We treat them based on the potential of where they could be.
Every person, and I say that with emphasis, every person deserves to be loved, to be honored, and to be respected.
Yes.
And if you can't do that, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means you have a lot of growing up to do. If you treat people repeatedly based on how they do, how they behave, how they talk, it means you have a lot of growing up to do. Does the other person need a lot of growing up to do? Absolutely yes. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about you. Because a man operates, a woman operates from the abundance of who they are. If you're being disrespectful, it shows there is something about you. There is this being disrespectful. If you are loving, it shows there is a core about you. There is loving.
Yeah, and I really love that point. That's the second time you're making it. That point about make it about you. It's not about the other person. I don't want to be disrespectful. I am bigger than that.
Yes.
Right? So
I'm not going to go there.
I'm not going to go there. I'm bigger than that. So if you see yourself in that light, number one, I'm bigger than that. You're not going to make me stoop to your level. You're acting in that way, but I'm not going to act that way towards you. So that's one way of dealing with it. But the other thing to bear in mind as well is nobody's perfect.
Absolutely.
So next time you lose your cool and you're acting in a manner that you shouldn't act, does that mean then you deserve for somebody to be disrespectful to you? That's not what we want, is it? We always want people to show us grace. So in the same way, let us show others grace. So I think in a nutshell, we can say, and I'm sure you can see where we're coming from, that everybody deserves respect for the fact that they're a human being. They're created in God's image. For that reason alone, they deserve respect. Work on what needs to be worked on. So if there's an issue, if they've acted in a way they shouldn't have acted, if they've, disrespected you, perhaps deal with that as a side issue on its own. Don't project that to make it the person's identity. I'm a human being. I deserve respect, period. What I did was not good. Let's deal with what I did. Don't make me less than because of what I did.
And something that we do in our relationship, is, there is something the matter. Why are you snapping at me?
That is something we do that is really good. So if I notice, we weren't always like that though. Let's be honest. So there were times when if I'm angry or I'm snapping or I'm irritable, you will get angry. he would get angry because it's like, what's your problem? If you have something to say, just say it, and vice versa. But we learned over time that just makes things worse.
Yeah.
So rather than me getting angry because he's angry, then I go, okay, honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Is everything
something
okay?
the
It's something the
And
matter.
if the person says, yeah, I'm okay. Even the way you say you're okay.
Then you have to insist that you know everything is not okay. So let's not drag this. Let's just deal with it now. But that's a good point.
Yeah.
So you could ask the person.
But then some people can be very difficult to say. You know there's something.
I'm a woman. I have to.
I didn't mention names.
I'm a woman. For me, it's different. I have the right to drag it on and to But jokes apart, I think that's a good way of dealing with it. Just because the person might be having a bad day about something as well that they're not talking about. So
this thing about mental health, I don't know, is becoming more real to me now. Sometimes you just get upset and nobody's really upset you, and you're now doing the self-auditing. What's upsetting me? It could be something you heard, it could be a reel you watched, it could be what is so many sources of so many attempts to steal your peace that you then have to make an effort to protect what you hear, what you see, and what you get involved in. Limit yourself to unpredictable situation. Did I say that right?
Yeah, limit yourself to unpredictable situations, meaning guard your heart, basically. Don't allow just anything in. Yeah. Well, we hope that's helped. But if you have any questions around what we've spoken about, or if you even disagree because your situation is just so in your mind big that there's just no way you can respect that person, please drop a comment in the chat. We would like to hear from you, but we just want to leave that with you to say every person deserves respect. And one way to look at it is, what fruit am I going to reap by sowing the seed of disrespect? Right? So you might feel like you're justified because of the person's behavior, but think about the fruit. At the end of the day, is it going to serve you, or is it going to actually damage the relationship even more? We want to sow seeds that when we reap the harvest, we're happy, right? So we don't want to justify reaping bad fruit. There's no good justification for reaping bad fruit. So only sow seeds that when that seed germinates, the fruit that it brings forth, you're going to be happy with it. So that's what we're going to say. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us. Without you, it's going to be very boring. We appreciate you taking time to be part of this conversation. If you already haven't subscribed, please hit that button now, and feel free to share with friends, neighbors, and loved ones. So until next time, it's Julius and Eniolu
and Mary, your Relationship Real Talk hosts. Here we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real. See you next time.